It is difficult sometimes, but sometimes we're looking in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we're not asking Him.
Yeah.
We're not asking the Father.
Yeah.
Give me divine connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray today, those of you that are watching, that need direction in your life for your work,
Yeah.
for your life experience, ask the Lord to give you divine direction.
Yes.
Ask Him to give you divine connections. And then it will all start to unravel and start to open up.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Hope for Today. Obviously, I am not John Bates. I am Nick Franklin, and today I am so excited to have this conversation with you. And it's going to be a conversation because our guest today, this is Paul Cowdery. Hello, pal.
Hey,
last week we interviewed your wife, Wynell, and John was in the background. He said, "Hey, Paul, you got time for an interview?" And Lord, I did not know what I was about to get into, but we just talked and got caught up a little bit. This man is awesome. He's been behind the scenes in so many different names and people that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't, but it's so cool to get to learn a little bit about his story. And so we're just going to jump right in. Paul, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, a little bit about your story, your family, and, way zoomed out version, how you maybe got here today.
Okay. Amen. Thank you, Nick, for this great opportunity. Well, I was born in the United Kingdom many, many years ago, virtually in the central part of the United Kingdom near Birmingham. And I was born into a Christian home. My father was a pastor. He was with the Elim Pentecostal churches. And when I was 11, we moved from the town that we were in to right down to the coast. And it was, back in those days, it was a massive change. And it took me a little time to get used to it. And then as things developed, school, education, and back then, in the 50s, you can work out my age, things were quite humble in a pastor's home, not like today. Where they're far better taken care of. And so I came from quite a small background in church. And then when I was 24, that's when things started to change in my life, and I started to ask various questions of where God was. When I was 24, and it was actually on my brother's 14th birthday, my mother went to be with the Lord. And just for a little time, I was a little hesitant on a few things, and I couldn't get over the fact that Mom had passed on my brother's birthday. But God was in control. Mm-hmm. God had His hand on my father, his ministry, and upon my life and my brother's life. And fast forward, my father moved on and was able to remarry. And married a beautiful lady, and they went off in ministry together again. And my father had a very successful ministry within the Elim organization. And for myself, in 1993, and I'm running forward fast because there's so much I could put in here.
Yeah.
I'd worked in industry. I'd worked for many commercial large companies in various capacities and roles. And in 1993, the company I was with actually went bankrupt.
Wow.
And they folded, and it was on the 14th of February.
Of course.
It was a Sunday, and we called it the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And at that time, I had quite a good job. I had a great salary, and I had a company vehicle. And so I was enjoying life. And it was God saying to me, "Paul, I want you to focus now in a different direction."
Wow.
And at that time, I was in the. There's lots of things I want to share with you in this time, because I believe there's somebody watching this and it's going to speak to them. If it's only one person, it'll just thrill my heart. Yeah. But during that time, I was the company that went bankrupt was a large international recruitment agency.
Wow.
And there had just been some mismanagement, and we don't need to go into any of that. But it was at a time when God was speaking to me You know, I was in the recruitment industry and I applied for 90 jobs. God's just spoken to me. Somebody that's watching this has been applying for work and can't get it and don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I applied for 90, and I was a senior executive in this company that I'd worked for. So I know how to get people work. 90 jobs, I got rejected. You're too overqualified, you're too old, you're too, whatever. Don't ever give up. And every day, my daddy would call me and say, son, I'm praying. Something is going to happen. Don't ever reject the prayers of your parents or your grandparents or your aunts or your uncles or your family. Always accept the fact that they are praying for you. And in the August of 1993, a friend of mine, he's now with the Lord, Big John Hall. Some of you may know him. I'm here in Texas, which is where he is from. Called me and said, could I take care of a friend of his? And I said, sure. And so he told me who it was, and some of you may know the name. It was Roger McDuff. And he came in to London, and I went to meet him, and we talked. And what he wanted me to do was work with him at a Morris Cerullo meeting in London. I'd never, ever been involved in that ministry before, but I was excited and interested. And I want to tell you this part of the story because, again, I believe God's just feeding things into me right now again. During that time, what did they ask me to do? He asked me to stand on a box. In actual fact, it was a box that oranges had been in this massive building that held up to 32,000 people, Earl's Court 1 in London, a very famous building, which is now being redeveloped right now. And as I stood there on the first night, there were lots of people that knew me came by and were ridiculing me and asking me, what in the world's wrong with you doing that with your background and reputation? And I said, I don't know. God has put me here for a purpose to work with Roger McDuff. On the third day, Roger came to me and he said, Paul, he said, I'm going to introduce you to one of the vice presidents of the Cerullo organization.
Wow.
I said, wow, hallelujah. I didn't know what for. But as I stood there, I thought, oh, I don't have any business cards. And I thought this is going to be great, meeting the vice president, and having been in industry myself, it's always good to get, I know nowadays we don't so much business cards, but have a business card. And right across, the Lord directed me to the corner of this massive building, and there was a machine where I could print my own business cards. And back in those days, in 93, I could print 50 right, for £3.
Oh my gosh.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I put my hand in my pocket, and remember, I didn't have a job at this time, so I was having to be careful with every penny, every dime I spent. And I put my last £3 into that machine, printed myself some things, and also it was there that I thought, oh, what am I going to call myself? So I called myself Grapevine Ministries. It just sounded good, Grapevine Ministries.
Yeah.
Okay, put my name and a phone number. Well, I put those things in my pocket. Now listen to me. I met with this man. He actually came to me. Bless him. He just went to be with the Lord just a few weeks ago.
Goodness.
Dear friend of mine, Roger Arts.
Wow.
And he and his wife became very good friends of mine. And he came up to me and he said, so you're Paul Cowdery? I said, yeah. I said, very pleased to meet you. And he said, I can't stop for a conversation now. I have to go to a meeting upstairs. I said, okay. I said, we'll catch up. And as he walked away, he turned around. He was quite a few feet away from me. He turned around and said, by the way, you got a business card? I said, yes, sir.
Come on.
Okay. Never demise the time when God prompts you to do something.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you think, well, go do it.
Yeah.
And I did. And the following few days, I still didn't. On the last day of the crusade there, and it was a tremendous time we had there, Mission to London, which is an annual event that Cerullo did. You know, I saw this gentleman disappearing in the distance. And I thought, oh, okay. He went. I went home. And a few weeks later, my daddy was still calling me every day. A few weeks later, he called me. My dad, he said, son, he said, I had a tremendous time of prayer today. See, prayer? Prayer is the key to heaven. It unlocks so many things.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget to get on our knees and to pray and look for God's direction. My father said to me, he said, son, when I was praying today, I felt my office was just folding in around me. There was a breakthrough in the Spirit. The very next day, I was sat at home in the evening and my telephone rang. I answered it, and it was this dear brother, Roger, calling me from Portugal and said, Paul, I said, yes. He said, Brother Sorello and I are going to be coming in to London in the next few days, and we want to meet with you. So I said, okay. So a few days passed. I met with them, and I honestly believe they were just asking me for advice on how they should run their next mission in London. Well, while I'm sitting there, they start to get a little bit laugh and joke with me. And I said, you don't know why you're here, do you? And I said, I thought I was just here to give. No. We have just interviewed you to be the next European director.
Come on.
For Marisol World Evangelism.
Wow.
And it just went from there.
Wow. That's
and
amazing.
You see how God opens up opportunities?
Yes.
We have to recognize them
Yeah.
and not think, oh, this is just me in my head.
Yeah.
Okay? If we're in communication with God, He will speak to you and speak to others.
Yeah.
And doors of opportunity will just open.
Yeah. While you're talking, Paul, I just can't stop thinking about the story of Joseph. You know, you look at it in Genesis, and so many times he experiences disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing well, and then something happens, you know, then he's kind of back down. And then he gets another opportunity, kind of like what you're talking about, does really well, excels, succeeds, and then something disappointing happens, and he's kind of knocked back down. And it kind of sounds like you've kind of gone through some of those ebbs and flows of, you know, being raised in such a beautiful home and family, and then your mom passes. And then, you know, working at, you know, such an amazing organization and company and, you know, doing well, and then it folds and goes bankrupt. So what would you say to people that maybe are experiencing some of those things? Maybe I have a friend here in Waxahachie that actually, he's applied for almost 100 jobs, you know, like what would you say to people like that they've just experienced some of those ebbs and flows of life, and maybe they're in one of those disappointing moments right now?
You know, I use the word push quite often as an acronym.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say push until something happens.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And if you push until something happens, and you pray until something happens.
There you go.
Okay? So you can use the same word.
Yeah.
You can push until something happens, but more importantly, you have to pray until something happens.
I love that.
And you know, sometimes we can set our sights too high. Sometimes we set our hearts too low. But when we communicate with our Heavenly Father,
There you go. Yeah.
and we're in communication, and I don't mean when we feel like it, oh, I better pray today. No, constant.
Yeah.
One thing I learned when I was growing up as a child, my father, when I was a young boy running around, I'd hear my father going around there. Most of the time he was praying in tongues.
Come on.
But I'd do the same.
Yeah.
I do exactly the same. Wynell, my wife, will tell you. She used to, when we first got together, she said, what are you? I said, in the bathroom, I said, babe, I'm just praying. I mean, she didn't have a problem with me praying, but she wondered what I was doing. And I learned that even today, driving here, while I was driving, and Wynell was doing other things in the car, she was sending some messages, I'm still praying for divine this is for me, this is a divine connection today.
Absolutely.
Right? And we have to believe for that. And so, like, again, let's go back to about the job, the work, okay? It is difficult sometimes, but sometimes we're looking in the wrong direction. Why? Because we're not asking Him.
Yeah.
We're not asking the Father. Give me divine connection. And I pray today, those of you that are watching, that need direction in your life for your work, for your life experience, ask the Lord to give you divine direction.
Yes.
Ask Him to give you divine connections. And then it will all start to unravel and start to open up.
Yeah.
And you know, so many, I've worked with so many ministries. I'm not going to talk about those because it sounds like I'm being boastful, but I'm not. I'm just thankful to the Lord that He opened up those doors of opportunity. But you know, even now, at my age, and I have no intention of retiring, my pastor back in the United Kingdom, you see, I tell you this, my pastor, okay, I remember my pastor when he was a little boy in short pants. Right?
Wow.
And when After Wynell and I came back from Colombia off the mission field, we lived in Holland just for 6 months.
Yeah.
Then we went back to England
Mm-hmm.
and went back to a city I used to live in. And we were looking for a church. And one day I found this church, City Life Church, Portsmouth.
Hmm.
And I noticed the pastor's name. I thought, I know that surname. So I went there, and I'd known his parents, obviously, for years. And here now he's the senior leader of the church.
Wow.
And he's my pastor.
That's awesome.
Okay? And I was with him just a few weeks ago. We had lunch together, and I reminded him, I said, remember what I told you, Daniel, that you're the man that when I go to be with the Lord, you're going to take care of the service, whatever.
Priest
Okay?
funeral.
And so you see, we keep our connections open as well. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
You know, never ever blow up the bridges that are behind you. You need to keep those intact because you never know when you're going to meet up with those people again, and when you need their intervention and their wisdom into your life.
Yeah.
But you know, even now at my age, I'm still being asked to do different things, and you know, online right now. I teach sometimes into Uganda and have the privilege, and I love Africa, whether it's Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, or whatever. And, you know, we've just started an online Bible school, and I had the privilege of launching that with Wynell last week. And of all the topics they asked me to speak on, it was ethics. Now, I'm known for teaching on ethics, but it was to teach that in a Bible lesson online. Man, I only had so long to do it, and I was concerned that we weren't going to have enough time. We had more than enough time, and it was beautiful. And then, see, God opens up opportunities. The very next day, I was doing the same thing to India.
Wow.
To 12 pastors in India who are just open for the word,
There you go.
open to learn more. And I'm thinking to myself, when I finished doing that teaching in India, I thought to myself, my goodness, where have I come from?
Yeah.
But here I am now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
so it doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how young you are.
Yeah.
If you have the heart and the desire to do that, speak the word, preach the word, teach the word, and see other people come up.
Yeah.
I get no more greater joy, as I've said to you before, than seeing other people be successful.
Yes, yes. Well, and that's what I was going to ask you about, because, I mean, really this whole time, it's more than advice. Like, this is wisdom. This is life wisdom that you just can't read in a book. You know, this is lived experience. And so I love you're already doing it. I was going to ask you about that. You know, as you empower and encourage and teach others, what advice would you give maybe to anyone watching that's saying, hey, like, how do I do that? Because I think and know that that's something I believe God is calling all of us to do, you know, to disciple people, to raise them up, to help them succeed. And for the viewers' knowledge, you know, you've helped some pretty insane, big name people, so to say, behind the scenes. And most people have probably never heard of you, but they would have heard of the Grammy award-winning artists that you've worked with, the gospel artists, the world-renowned ministers and crusade guys and all these amazing names, and yet there's someone behind them championing them. What advice would you give to people that are saying, hey, like, I think it's time I start to pour into the next generation or the people around me? You know, where can they start in that?
Well, you know, the first thing is that you have to remember is you must have integrity. Okay? Because if you don't have that, people are not going to want to work alongside you. Okay? So, and the biggest part of integrity, from my point of view, is deliver what you promise.
There you go.
Deliver what you promise. And so we're out and about, all of us are out and about somewhere doing things, okay?
Yeah.
Recognizing people. Nick, you're experienced in what you do, in the production of these programs or whatever. Look around the church, okay? And see if there are young people that you can identify that, hey, Lord, help me. I want to help this young person.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, some people will come to us.
Yeah.
You know, they'll come to us and say, hey, can you help me? Just this last week, I met up with, when we were in Colombia earlier this year, there was a pastor's daughter, And she needed some help with her English. And I do a lot of, I'm a professor of English, and I do a lot of online teaching in English as well as the Word. I meet with business people all over the world and help them write speeches and whatnot. But there was this young girl, and she's just in her second year of university, needed help. And she's a pastor's daughter. Man, I'm going to help that girl, and I'm going to do it for free.
Wow.
Okay, that's not a boast, but sometimes all we think about is this.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, we need money to live. We need money to proclaim the word and take it into other countries, but this should not be our goal.
Yeah.
Okay. That if we make money our idol, we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And so, young girl, father pastors a church in one of the churches in Colombia. Now I'm helping her. A young boy, a 14-year-old boy living in Mexico. Now his parents are in the ministry, and his uncle is a well-known preacher in Colombia. I'm working with him.
Wow.
Now I'm not only helping him with his English, I'm helping him how to grow up.
Yeah.
Into being, now, yes, his mom and dad can do the same, but his dad asked me for some outside influence.
Yeah, that's good.
And, it doesn't matter how old some of these people are. They don't have to be in their 20s, in their 30s. When we get hold of young people, 14 and 16, we can make a difference.
Amen. That's awesome.
They can see, wow, somebody's paying an interest in me.
Yeah.
And you're not being invasive on the way their parents are growing them. Talk to mom and dad.
Yeah.
When I mentor these young kids, particularly in ministry, I give their parents a report after every time we meet to say what we talked about. That keeps my integrity with them. They begin to see a difference in their kids. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And all it is these kids are just pulling out of me. What did you do there? What happened there? Okay?
Yeah.
What do you do about bullying?
Yeah.
Okay, there's one boy I was with this week. He had been bullied at school in Mexico. So he was taken out of the school and put into homeschool, and he was just sharing from his heart how some of the pain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
You can teach into that.
Yeah.
And we should all be on the lookout. How can I help? What can I do?
Yeah.
How can I help? I was when I flew out to Texas just a few weeks ago. I went into one of the lounges for some breakfast. And there was a lady in there, and she was doing some work and whatever. And I just walked past her, and I said, "Good morning, ma'am." I said, "How are you?" She goes, "Oh, I'm fine." And I said, "Can I just congratulate you on the great work that you do in this restaurant?"
Wow.
She started to cry. I said, "Ma'am," I said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you." She goes, No. She said, "That's the kindest word I've heard in a long time."
Wow.
And so I said, "Well, I don't want to stop you doing your work." I said, "But you really are great." She said, "No." She said, "I really thank you, sir." She was probably a lady in her late 20s, but she shared with me just on those few minutes while she was cleaning and I was getting myself some food, that most of the time they're talked down to or people have a complaint.
Yeah.
Sometimes by us saying those kind words, we can strike up conversations with people.
Yeah.
And it gives us that opportunity to let God shine through in our lives.
There you go.
Okay? But never, ever miss an opportunity to help someone.
Yeah.
Be kind to someone.
Yeah.
And who knows where it can lead.
Yeah.
Even now,
Yeah.
as I say at my age, I'm always trying to do something to help someone.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, hey, so we've got just a couple minutes here. I want to end with this question. So you've lived an incredible life. God has done so many things in and through you. I think it's so evident the grace that's on your life and the favor that's on your life. What would you say, or what do you feel like the Lord is doing now as we enter into 2024? We're recording this at the very end of 2023. This will go live in 2024. Hello, future. What would you say? What is God doing this year that maybe people can grasp onto and have some hope in?
Well, I said it earlier today. I think 2024 is going to be a year of purpose.
Wow.
And a year of change.
Yeah.
You say, what do you mean by purpose? Okay. Find purpose in your life. Find purpose in your ministry. Find purpose in your work and what you do. And that's when the changes will start to come. If we, in the mornings when I wake up, okay, this is something else that was always funny when Wynell and I first got together and got married. When I get up in the morning, I go to the bathroom and I shave.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm always telling every day, and I speak it out. Lord, when I'm 99, I'm still going to be doing this.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be serving you.
Yeah.
Why? Purpose.
There you go.
Okay, and I remember. A dear old friend of mine, Leonard Albert from Tennessee, used to say that most people are ruined between the bedroom and the bathroom. What did he mean by that? Was we get up in the morning, we go, oh, God, it's morning. Instead of saying, good morning, God, I'm here. And when yes, of course, all of us, and I've been through it more than once, many, many times.
Yeah.
When I could get up in the morning and think, oh, this is going to be a terrible day. Wynell and I, we live and work by faith, and we get money that comes in from people that donate to us and help us with our ministry.
Wow.
And there are some times you get to the end of the month, like we did this in November.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that needed taken care of, and there's someone that helps us, and you don't ask, we just wait for God to do the work. God's never late.
Come on.
That's something else. He is never late. He is always on time.
There.
But all I would say for 2024 is live your life. Live a life of purpose.
Amen.
And as you live that life of purpose, you will see the change that God brings.
Yeah.
And it will be change of beauty.
Wow.
And it'll just be a fulfilled, and I just want to say this to you.
Yeah.
God has other things in store for you in 2024.
Yeah. Thank you.
Things you may not have even thought about or dreamt about, but I just sense, just meeting you just for these few moments today, that God has got a greater purpose for you that you've not even thought about yet.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean to say you got to go home and pack your bags.
Yeah.
But you just need to look out and watch for that purpose that God's planted in your life that you now need to start to fulfill.
Wow. I receive that. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Wow. Thank you so much, Paul. This has been an incredible conversation. And I just want you guys as viewers to know, and listeners, whether you're listening on podcasts or Facebook or YouTube or around the world through Eternal Life TV, all the links that you can find Paul and his ministry and Wynell, they're going to be in the description below. And so just click on that description and you can go right to their giving link if you'd like to donate to what they're doing and the amazing ministry they have going on worldwide. If you want to connect with them through Instagram and social media, their website, all that kind of stuff is right below. So go ahead and click on connect with them. And I know for me, I will definitely be following along with Paul and Wynell from here on out. So again, thank you so much, Paul. We seriously appreciate your time today. And thank you guys for watching and listening all the way through. We love you. We appreciate you and hope you have an incredible week. We'll see you next.